All right, let's go. 49ers news. Just about 2.5 hours before I have to fly out to Tampa. I decided to take the red eye because I will be crashing one of the 49ers fan events tomorrow. I believe it's called Gaspar's Grotto or Gasper's Grotto, however you spell that. I'll put it up on a text title by the end of this show. 8 p.m., 49ers Empire, Tampa Bay. A lot of Niners fans out there. So I've been talking to the organizer there, going to try to hit up the event. It should be fun. Hopefully meet some of you in Tampa Bay. Want to get out there a little bit sooner. I heard it's really warm out there, going to be 87 degrees as the 49ers prepare to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So news from the week. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is back. George Kittle getting on the plane today to Tampa. Made sure that everybody would know that. He's got his Christian McCaffrey hat on. That's, I think, already at the airport based on the background outside the 49ers bus. On the tarmac, getting onto the plane, late afternoon shadows. It is past daylight savings time. George Kittle excited for Christian McCaffrey to make his 49ers return. That's the very, very big news of the week, although it's not the only news of the week. Nick Bosa was extremely limited, and that's a quote from Kyle Shanahan at practice over the past 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because he suffered a little hip pointer. That's what Kyle Shanahan called it, a quote-unquote little hip pointer at practice early Wednesday. So we will look at the rest of the 49ers injuries when we take a look at the big depth chart that I have ready for you right now. But Nick Bosa is definitely one of them. Speaking of those other injuries, here we go. I've shaded the players that are hurt or questionable for this game or for some reason out for this game that could be outside the scope of injuries in pink. Bosa with the hip pointer. Kevin Givens out with the groin issue, although he was running on the side of the field today. Sprints is the first time we've seen Kevin Givens out there working on the side since he was hurt. So that's good news for the 49ers. Charvarius Ward, that's a really tough situation because his 1-year-old daughter, Amani Joy, tragically passed away. So Charvarius Ward, the funeral was today. John Lynch and a contingent from the 49ers headed over to Dallas on their way to Tampa to support Charvarius Ward. Unfortunately, though, this is just such tragic news. The 49ers are handling this right by giving Charvarius Ward as much time as he needs. He's not going to be available for this game as he just wasn't around this week supporting his family instead. Jake Moody, we can take him off of the injury shading, so I will take that off because he's back. 49ers released Anders Carlson from the practice squad this week. Did a good job filling in for Jake Moody, but the starting kicker is now ready to go, available for San Francisco. Go up here. I have Chris Conley shaded in pink. Deebo Samuel shaded in pink because he's hurt. At least listed as limited for the 49ers, or questionable, I guess I should say. But I don't think the Deebo Samuel, with the rib issue that he has now, is going to miss this football game for San Francisco. And then there's Chris Conley, who actually is out for the 49ers. Conley does have a hamstring issue that is a week-to-week injury. So those are the other injuries up and down the 49ers roster. Today, they did make a move. Patrick Taylor Jr. has been waived from the running back room. That is so they can reinsert Christian McCaffrey back into the lineup or into the 53-man roster. So I erased Taylor's name. I could cut Garindo here and paste him on the right side, and we can cut and paste with Jordan Mason as well. And we can reinsert Christian McCaffrey where it is appropriate into the 49ers starting running back spot. Now, this is not going to be official until tomorrow, but it still fits right now for Christian McCaffrey. So there we go. I got to make sure the font is big enough. I have to make sure all our borders are the right width, the right boldness. So we go to the right side. There we go. Everything is selected, and we're good. So it's McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, Isaac Garindo, Patrick Taylor Jr. waived. If he clears waivers, the 49ers can re-sign him to the practice squad. Now, the entire practice squad is full, 16 players right now, taking up that practice squad. But if the 49ers decide they'd rather have Patrick Taylor Jr. in the building than Keyshawn Vaughn, maybe they make that swap. Although Taylor, again, first has to clear waivers before anything like that is considered. But this is your 49ers running back room for this game. McCaffrey, Mason, Isaac Guerrero. Now, the 49ers made some other moves this week. Khalil Davis is their new defensive tackle. They traded a 2026 7th-round pick with the Houston Texans for Khalil Davis. He is listed right here. I mentioned that Kevin Givens will not play due to the groin injury. That means Khalil Davis can slot right in for Kevin Givens alongside Khalil Davis, not to be confused with Khalil Davis, and behind Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins. We'll see if the 49ers have an extra defensive tackle up in this game because it's going to be 87 degrees. It's going to be nice and hot in Tampa Bay. So they may want to have extra tackles up so even Evan Anderson may be active. I would not be surprised if all 9 available defensive linemen were active in this game. And that is assuming that Nick Bosa is available. Again, Shanahan today said that he was extremely limited at practice with the hip pointer this week. So we got to wait and see how Nick Bosa responds to that by Sunday for the 49ers. But it is a game where you want as much defensive line depth as possible if you are San Francisco. Let's talk about Brock Purdy's positioning because the second half of the season is upon us. We can go up to Summer Sports, great website to track where all these quarterbacks are. 1 through however many are. I have 26 qualifying quarterbacks right now based on amount of snaps. I think I set it at like 250, 260 plays. Brock Purdy's right here. He is number 7 when it comes to EPA per play amongst the eligible quarterbacks. Josh Allen paces the league. Lamar Jackson has been really damn good. Jaden Daniels has been really good, although it's Jackson that's been closing ground with a fury as of late. Joe Burrow, number 4. Jalen Hurts, not having a bad year, number 5, although everybody's really clustered together. You could see 0.3, 0.28, 0.28, then it's 0.2 for Joe Burrow. So it's the top 3, a big gap. Then it's number 4, and a sizable gap. And then it's a really, really tight situation between Hurts, Mayfield, Brock Purdy, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, and Patrick Mahomes. Then it gets down a little bit further to Kirk Cousins. But Mayfield and Purdy have very, very similar numbers as far as expected points added per play. So the efficiency has been there for both quarterbacks. But although there have been injuries and Brock Purdy is obviously still dealing with an injury loss, no Brandon Ayuk for him in this game, more of an injury issue for Baker Mayfield in this game. He doesn't have Mike Evans. He doesn't have Chris Godwin. His leading receiver is a tight end, Cade Otton. He's going to have to rely a lot on the run game as they tried to last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. So we can talk about Brock Purdy's next matchup with Tampa Bay. If you look at the quarterback on the other side of the ball, Purdy should have an advantage in that regard against the Bucs. Look at the rest of what Purdy's doing. We could filter this by success percentage, success rate. Purdy's number 6. That is the amount of plays or the percentage of plays that leads to a positive EPA. So he's been consistent in that regard. How about sack percentage? 7th lowest in the league for Brock Purdy. Same as Patrick Mahomes, 5.2%. Compared to Baker Mayfield, he gets sacked a little bit more, 6.1%. How about average depth of target? Purdy's thrown the farthest passes on average in the league this year. 9.5, 9.2 for number 2, Jordan Love. I'm curious, where's Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield, the shortest passes in the league. So Mayfield has been throwing short, especially without his wide receivers. He's at the very, very bottom of this. You could see his name. I'll highlight it for you. 5.5 is his average depth of target. Purdy is all the way at the top. So you're going to have polar opposite styles in that regard this week. How about average time to throw? Baker's getting rid of the ball really quickly. 2.4 seconds average snap to release. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy is getting rid of the ball not very quickly because he's running a lot. Tied with Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix for the slowest average time to release. I expect that to change with Christian McCaffrey in tow for the 49ers because that outlet option is going to be much more prevalent for San Francisco this week. Passing touchdowns, Brock Purdy down at 17 in passing touchdowns, despite being number 7 in EPA per play. And that's the big discrepancy. And that's the one thing that I really, really wonder about moving forward with Christian McCaffrey. The 49ers have the number 2 offense when it comes to yardage and time of possession, but they're down at number 6 when it comes to scoring. So you see it in some of the stats I just showed you, that same discrepancy. Purdy down in the middle of the pack in touchdown passes. So he's up there in yards, but down there in the middle in terms of touchdown passes. They're not converting a lot of this yardage, a lot of these drives into touchdowns, and they're only getting field goals. In fact, the 49ers, when we talk about red zone touchdown rate, ranked number 28 in the NFL. They've scored a touchdown on 48.6% of the red zone possessions. The only teams that are worse than San Francisco, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Dallas, and the New York Giants. So, and the 49ers were number 1 last season. Baltimore's number 1 this year. Cincinnati's number 2. We saw a couple really good red zone offenses the other day, although unfortunately for the Bengals, Joe Burrow was unable to convert on that 2-point conversion. I know as controversial as that play was. Bottom line is the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey back need to move from number 28 in red zone efficiency to at least the top half of the league. 28 is not going to cut it for this team if they want to win the Super Bowl. Something in the top half of the NFL probably will. I view that as a massive, massive key for the 49ers down the stretch of this season, starting with this game. Why don't we take a look at my prediction? I'll give you a sneak peek at this. I don't normally release this until Saturday, and I'll probably release it as its own video on Saturday, but I did head out to a cool spot because I felt it was a fitting spot to look at what might happen between the 49ers and Tampa Bay. This time we'll do the 49ers prediction from Coyote Point in San Mateo. That's the San Francisco Bay behind me. I just swam in it, and I'm going to have to catch a flight in a little bit, so this is very convenient with SFO Airport right behind me. But the 49ers are playing Tampa Bay, the bay on the other side of the country, so I thought this might be a fitting location for the prediction. So much of this matchup and the situation in the 49ers season reminds me of last year when they came out of the bye week at the same time. They were 5-3 in 2023. This year they're 4-4, but some similar vibes. Last season they had lost 3 straight going into the bye. They went to Florida to play the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2023. And the 49ers came out of the bye hungry, fresh, rested, and the defense tightened the screws on the Jaguars. The offense played a very efficient game, and San Francisco won 34-3. I think that the 49ers are tasked with delivering a similar performance, at least effort-wise, from the defensive side of the ball in this game. Tampa Bay is down its 2 best receivers, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and the 49ers are in a position where this is their longest rest of the season. And conversely, Tampa Bay is coming off of a short week. They played into overtime against Kansas City on Monday night. So I think that a similar type of 49ers defensive performance is coming. I don't know if they're going to give up just 3 points in this game, but I do think that they can hold the Tampa Bay Bucs and Baker Mayfield, their quarterback, to under 2 touchdowns. Obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, you've got Christian McCaffrey returning for the 49ers. They are second in the NFL in yardage and second in time of possession, but they are 6th in total points scored. So they've got to close that gap. Better red zone production, better third down production. I think Christian McCaffrey can help them do it. My prediction, the 49ers are going to win this game 31-13. So long from Coyote Point at sunset. It's time to fly from the San Francisco Bay to the other bay, Tampa Bay. We'll see you soon. All right. Somebody noted that I like that shirt. Yeah, I recorded that just about 2 hours ago, right before darkness took over here in the Bay Area. And now I do actually have to head to the airport in a little bit. So we'll turn it to a 49ers Q&A. That was your news from the week. 2 more things, though. They did add a couple more players, and we can go back to the depth chart for this. This is significant because there's one more player that's hurt right now that I didn't highlight on here. Malik Mustafa dealing with a calf injury. So he's questionable for this game. Look who the 49ers re-added to the team. this week. Tashawn Gibson Sr., who started at safety for the past 2 seasons. So Gibson, Kyle Shanahan said today that he's ready to play if the 49ers need him to start in place of Malik Mustafa. They have until 4 o'clock Eastern time, so 1 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow to make the call. That's when the roster moves have to come out. So we'll wait until then. I'll have the video for you tomorrow, and we'll find out if they've elevated Gibson. If they do that, then it seems that there's a really good chance that he starts and Malik Mustafa will not be able to play due to the calf injury. The 49ers also added another wide receiver, Russell Gage. So I talked about this at the trade deadline. The 49ers, so everybody seemed all upset that the 49ers didn't make a big enough move. You probably should be happy that they're not digging into their 2025 draft capital. In fact, they're able to fortify a defensive tackle with Khalil Davis, somebody who's going to play for them, twitchy player. They were able to fortify a receiver with Russell Gage, actually added him to the practice squad, somebody with 14 career touchdown catches, still only 28 years old. And they were able to fortify the safety room with somebody who might start for them on Sunday. Like literally, he might start for them, Tashawn Gibson. They're able to add those 3 players on trade deadline week at the cost of 0 2025 picks. Again, they didn't use a single one of their upcoming 2025 draft picks to fortify the roster this week. And those were the 3 biggest positions of need for San Francisco. Absolutely. Defensive tackle, safety, and wide receiver. They needed depth at all 3. It didn't cost them a single 2025 pick to get it. It's going to be a 2026 7th round pick for Khalil Davis that they're sending over to Houston. And they've already sent the 7th round pick to Houston for a defensive tackle earlier this year. That was Malik Collins, and that trade is working out pretty damn well for the 49ers. Malik ranks number 5 in the NFL in pass rush win rate amongst defensive tackles. He actually vouched for Khalil Davis when the 49ers were in trade discussions with Houston, and then they were able to get that across the finish line right before the deadline. Anyway, time for the Q&A. Let's go. I'm wading into the comment section at my own risk, and we can go ahead and talk. We got somebody flying to Tampa from Seattle tomorrow. That's a long flight. Well, so is mine. I'm taking it tonight from San Francisco. Who's replacing Charvarius Ward while he's on leave? That's a good question. You go over here, go to the 49ers depth chart. So while Ward is out, Renardo Green has already been getting outside cornerback snaps whenever the 49ers are nickel. I think that those become full-time snaps. While Isaac Yiadom, who was a starter for the 49ers in Renardo Green's old spot, just slides up a spot, and he'll become the outside corner when the 49ers are nickel. I think you keep Diamador Lenore in the roving star role. They call it the star position that he's already in, moving outside to inside whenever need be. And you just have Isaac Yiadom as your 3rd cornerback who's playing outside whenever Diamador Lenore shifts inside. So Renardo Green moves into the Charvarius Ward role, essentially, staying outside full time. And Isaac Yiadom moves into the Renardo Green role, if that makes sense for the 49ers. Is CMC on a pitch count? That's a good question. The 49ers aren't really sharing that. I would assume so. I don't think you want to just throw him out there and run him into the ground. And this has less to do with the injury and more to do with the fact that this is his first action of the season. Normally at training camp, they try to monitor guys' snaps, and you want somebody to work their way into shape. And the 49ers have a very scientific way with their sports performance staff of looking at this. I would think that since this is Christian McCaffrey's first game of the 2024 season, irrespective of the Achilles issues that he's fighting back from, I think that they might want to hold him on a closer snap count just because they want to make sure that he builds the callus and gets into good game shape without overworking him. What's going on with Greenlaw? Week by week. That's how they're looking at this right now. So we'll start asking that question in earnest starting next week. And if it's not next week, then the week after that. I think he's much closer than he has been in the past. And I think at some point here of the second half of the season, we will see Dre Greenlaw back for the 49ers. What's the latest on Bosa? Hip pointer was at practice today. I have that in my practice update video. We've got some footage of Nick Bosa. In fact, I might have it right here. Let's see if I could get that footage for you as we speak from practice today. Yep, here we go. This is Bosa running the hoop at practice today. This is just a warm-up drill. So apparently the hip is bothering him, and the 49ers are hoping that he's feeling better by Sunday, although he's listed as questionable right now. When will Hufanga come back? I just answered the Greenlaw question. I think Hufanga is going to be similar. It's going to be in a week-to-week boat coming up soon. I think Hufanga might depend on if it's possible for him to wear a cast or not. I think that's going to be one of the questions with him moving forward because he is coming back with torn ligaments in his wrist. You think that Bosa powers through it? Well, we'll see. We're not in Bosa's shoes, so I think it's hard to say for sure at this point, which is why he's listed as questionable. Daniel says that adding Gibson provides more depth at the safety positions. Yes, it does, and it might provide the 49ers with an actual starter this week if Malik Mustafa can't go. Question about Drake Jackson. I think Mike answered that question up here. Here we go. Drake Jackson is done for the season. No Drake Jackson this year. He's on injured reserve, placed there before making the 53-man roster, which means by rule, he cannot be activated for this season. Coming back from a big knee injury. Mike asks, will the red zone be massively improved moving forward? Well, I would hope so. Again, they rank down at, let me get the exact rank. It's bad. 48.6% red zone touchdown rate. That's not good. It's not good enough to win a Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey, when he was around last year, they were number 1, and now they're number 28. I think that's exactly where somebody like Christian can help because, A, the rushing efficiency has been not good enough in the red zone. He obviously makes a rushing attack more efficient. And B, he is a space maker on offense. I mean, he could go out there and he gravitationally pulls defenders toward him, can open up other guys. And if it doesn't open up other guys, that means Christian himself is probably open. So in both the run game and the pass game, he can help the red zone. It can be a domino effect for the 49ers. And I do think that we will see big improvement with Christian McCaffrey back in tow. Yes, Jake Moody will be back this week. Juwan Jennings will be back this week. He's fully healthy. Any players released around the league to chase a Super Bowl? None that I saw that are intriguing. I know that Yannick Ngakoue was waived by the Ravens. Anybody, by the way, that's cut after the trade deadline, they have to pass through waivers. You can't just cut somebody and see somebody cut elsewhere and then sign them. You have to claim them on waivers. And New England claimed Yannick Ngakoue. New England higher up in the waiver order, much higher than the 49ers, who were the runner-up last year. They're 31st. They're second to last, ahead of only the Chiefs. So even if the 49ers had been interested in Yannick Ngakoue, they weren't going to get him because he was going to get claimed much higher up. Moody's injury was a high ankle sprain. Suffered when he was trying to make a tackle on kick coverage. That reminds me that the 49ers special teams needs to continue stepping it up. They did against Dallas. Now that needs to happen against Tampa Bay, another team that's been top 10 in special teams this year. All right, couple more questions. Let's go. People asking me what I think the cause of the red zone issues is. I mean, I was just talking about it, right? They're not rushing the ball efficiently. So, and even though they've been blocking the run well, and for the most part, I think that when it gets into tight quarters, the quality of the running back, the versatility of the running back is so important. Jordan Mason has done a fine job, but Christian McCaffrey's a Hall of Fame talent player. So he can really help you when push comes to shove. Schematically, I don't think that they've been good enough. I think that the separation has been tough because without Christian McCaffrey, it puts a bigger load on Kyle Shanahan to make sure that he schemes guys open because he doesn't have the crutch of Christian McCaffrey. But they have to be better in all facets, and Christian is somebody that's a glue piece that can help that happen. All right, that's it. Time for me to head to the airport. Everybody like, sub, do what you need to do. Wanted to give you a little bonus show. I know that we don't really do many shows late on Friday night. It's not a great time for shows. Not a lot of people are going to be tuning in. But when I have extra time, I try to dedicate it to you, and we try to do a show. So glad that we got one in the books. Hope that everybody has a fine evening. And the next time you'll see me, I will be in Tampa Bay. Peace out. We'll see you soon.